What I have here today is what is sometimes called a toy machine. However, that is really not what they are. They're more of a subcompact phonograph. Now, machines of this size class were never marketed to children. They were intended for somebody who didn't want to lug around a big heavy Victor Victrola 50 or an HMV 101. It's about half the size of a 101 and 1/3 the size of a Victor Victrola 50. And there are trade-offs to this. While they are light and very portable, they have smaller horns, they have weaker, smaller motors. A lot of these, this is a German motor, but a lot of them do use Swiss motors with just one little tiny spring in there. I mean, that's perfectly adequate if the spring is in good shape and it's brand new and has full power. This will play a 10-inch record. Now, what I have on here is a Little Wonder record. Now, Little Wonder records, again, a lot of people mistakenly believe these were children's records. They're not. They have normal content, band music, things like that. And they were simply intended to be inexpensive music. You know, they weren't the big Victor 10-inch. They were a third the price or even a quarter the price. So you could grab these at the 5 and 10 store, whatever it was, and didn't cost you a lot of money. Didn't, you know, gave you 1.5 to 2 minutes of playtime. And that was enough for some people. Just wanted some popular dance music or something like that. And not necessarily for machines like this. This would play on any Victrola or any phonograph of the era. And they're good for these machines because, like I said, with the small, weak motors, this one has a good spring, but not all of them do. So it'll play this without too much trouble. Got a few scratches and such on it, but it still plays pretty good. Now, this machine was made by Homocord. Homocord was a German company. They were, I don't have a whole lot of information on them, but they were around in Germany in the 20s and 30s. They made a variety of machines, including one other one that I have on my list that looks more like a HMV 101. This one is a nice compact design and has a small horn hidden behind this door. It's right in there. It's not the easiest machine in the world to work with because it doesn't have a brake. For one thing, you can see my homemade brake on here. It's a little awkward to get the needle in it because the tone arm does not flip over, allowing easy access to the needle screw and all that. So you kind of have to hold the needle in there and turn it with your other hand. It's a pain in the neck, but it works. But it's very portable. You can carry this in your luggage. You can carry it under your arm. It really wouldn't, you know, be a major burden. It only weighs a few pounds. Now let's hear what it sounds like with the Little Wonder on it. And there you go. Bugs on my machine. Now you can tell toward the end there the quality gets a little iffy on it. The record's got some wear. A lot of them do. They weren't, you know, the highest quality available at the time, but they did the job. And it's a nice little machine. You know, Homocords are not very common here in the States. I have two of them. They're the only two I've ever actually seen over here. There's really not a lot of them online that you can find mention of. But they're an interesting machine when they turn up. This one was in fairly decent shape. It didn't need much. I think the governor had flown apart on it, and I had to do something with that. I was able to adapt some Swiss parts to work with the governor springs. Maybe it was Victor, I don't remember which. Either way, you see the Homocord emblem is, corporate emblem is on there. And there you go. That's a Homocord portable from, I believe, around 1925, but don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure of that. But it's somewhere in the vicinity. Now, the other one I have here, let me just take this out of the way and set it aside. And I'll show you the other one. Don't want to drop that. There we go. The other machine I have here, another so-called toy phonograph, although it isn't, is a Pixi Grippa. And get a better look at that here. Let's swing this out of the way. And now I'm not going to play this one just now because it does need the spring is working, it's in there, but it's very weak. It doesn't even want to play a Little Wonder record to its full extent. Not uncommon. This one is a British-made machine, assembled, I should say. You know, the Pixi Grippa portable by the what was it? Parlophone, something like that. Parlophone London company. It's a Swiss motor in there, an early Swiss motor. Other Swiss parts too. I believe the reproducer might be as well. The box was made in England. It's a very, it's not quite as small as a camera phone, but it's about as small as I have. You know, well, that's not true. That's not true. My other camera phone is a little bit smaller maybe, but still it's a small size and has some unusual design features like the horn. I've demonstrated this reproducer playing on another machine, and this is the machine it actually belongs on. And it sounds surprisingly good. I rebuilt it using exhibition tube gaskets and some other things. It has this extra little horn on here to give it some slightly more volume because the horn here is very small. And it has an unusual sound when it plays that way. If you play one of the other videos, you'll hear it playing on an HMV 101. And it almost sounds like stereo to a certain extent. Of course it isn't, but... And this also will play a 10-inch record. There's enough room on there to clear the tone arm. It will play it. But Little Wonders actually fit perfectly on there, so that's what I would play on this as well. These are from the 1920s. They're common enough in England, the UK, but not so much here in the States. This one I did find here. This one, what was wrong with this? Ah, yes, I know what it was. The governor was bad on this one too. There were some issues with the tone arm. It needed a serious rebuild. And some of the wooden joints had loosened up. But I got all that back together again. Except for the spring, which I actually do have. I have a brand new spring for it, but I just haven't had time to put it in. August and July are pretty hot around here, and I just haven't wanted to be out in my shed messing around with it. So that'll be a summertime project, and I need to find a small piece of leather to put in there for the brake. The brake leather disintegrated on it. But it's another one of those toy phonographs that, you know, well, that people identify as toy phonographs, but they aren't. They're simply made to be portable. You know, so you could literally carry it very easily. You know, you didn't have to be Hercules to haul this around. And I'll show you how it kind of folds up nice and neat and small. Let's take that off very carefully. This folds up. Just gotta get down in there and pop that little lever down. There we go. Oopsie. Yeah, it just folds up into a little box like that. Obviously this and that go in there, but you get the idea how small that is. I just want to give you a size, like a little lunchbox almost. Actually, it's smaller than a lunchbox. And if you collect stuff like this, you can collect a whole bunch of these things and not have any problems with storage. They fit just about anywhere. You know, I have a large collection of Victor Victrola 50 phonographs from Victrola. And you don't often get to stack a lot of those in the closets and such. But these, you could put about 200 of them in there and you wouldn't even notice it. And there you go. That's the Pixi Grippa and the Homocord compact phonographs. Give you an idea what I've been working on. And hopefully we'll have the Homocord's done, but this one has a bit more work to do, and I'll get to that probably sometime in the next month and a half, 2 months, when it starts to cool down a little bit. Today's not too bad, but it's been pretty hot. And my little work shed is not air conditioned, so rather than drop dead out there of heat exhaustion, I figure we'll just let them sit for a while. They're not going anywhere. They've waited 100 years. They can wait a little longer. And there you go. Pixi Grippa and the Homocord.